welcome. We're back doing some next round of podcasts. My name is Justin, and you are.
Anthony Marchese. I own and operate right now a company in Long Island, New York called AM Media NY. We do media, photo shoots, video shoots with various dealerships, private owners. We visit different collections. We do a whole lot with interesting and unique cars. And I also run a page called Rare Cars Only, which is focused on the research and the dedication to research of rare cars around the world, speaking with various company owners, speaking with various car collectors to source out some of this really, really interesting information.
Awesome, awesome. And I know as we've been following each other for a while, really like what you're doing on your pages. You also have YouTube channels. Like I see you've been doing videos for all this stuff. Really nice stuff. Really cool things you do on the Rare Cars Only page too, with the full post, like those multiple posts. It's hard to do.
Thank you so much. I've received mixed feedback for the posting and grids. Some people say, "Oh my, it takes up my whole timeline," and some people are like, "This is amazing. Nobody else does this." And likewise, your content I've been following for such a long time now. Your YouTube channel, your Instagram page, and it's honestly probably one of the best places to collect information regarding new automotive technology, new cars, new all of these different things that are in the market now. So I appreciate your efforts. It's amazing,
Thank
absolutely
you.
amazing.
Thank you. Likewise. So I wanted to get in and dive in, kind of see like what kind of got you to start doing your pages and start doing the videos, getting into like these really rare cars, really unique cars. And I guess we're all fortunate to be living in New York. There's a lot of amazing stuff in our area, at least car
Absolutely.
wise. But yeah, what really got you into it?
So, I mean, I would say, this is probably an answer that some people have also have in the back of their mind, but my father actually got me into cars at a very young age, and this was before I could speak. This is him, putting me on the back of his shoulders and walking me around car shows and, pointing at all the shiny, flashy objects, saying, this is cool, this is not cool. And that's kind of where I learned the ground, like the actual like ground lines of like liking cars, which then transitioned to video games, collecting Hot Wheels, all of these different things kind of molded me into really loving cars at a young age. And I realized when I got older, I was going to be able to somehow incorporate my professional career, which is my media background from college, with cars, which is what I'm doing now. Because, I love media. I love
Mhm,
shooting film. I love doing movies, TV, but I love cars. So I don't
mhm.
want to shoot film honestly about like animals or like something that I'm just totally not interested in doing. Like I love cars, so that I'm just glad that I can kind of mesh the two together and work with what I do professionally with what I love to do in general, which is cars. So
Definitely. Yeah. I see you have a Jaguar shirt on. Uh,
yeah,
there
of
you go.
course.
Oh, I think that says it
um,
all. I
yeah.
have my Audi racing shirt underneath here, but yeah, definitely. I can definitely resonate with that story too. Been loving cars ever since I was small, growing up with it, going to the New York Auto Show when I was little, many car shows. It's been in my life forever and always loved it. Been in the family and growing into it. And now combining all these different things, like you said, like media and cars and trying to push them together and kind of promote them out into the world and see how everyone else kind of reacts to your own content. It's really cool. Really love the community around here. But how did you get started with
Yeah,
your
for sure.
Instagram page? Because it's unique stuff that's going on there. Both of them in general, actually.
So I mean the media page actually it's funny as to how it started is AM Media NY. You can find it on Instagram at AM underscore media underscore NY, which is hard to say, but looks nice. It's basically something I started where I was actually at a car show one time with my friends. It was actually Dream Ride, and I believe it was Dream
Okay.
Ride of 2019.
Okay.
Um, and I looked at my friend and I was basically just like, hey, um, you know, why am I not taking pictures of these cars? Like what are we doing? Like are we just walking around like checking out these cars? And it's actually that silly that I kind of just realized maybe I should just start taking some photos and uploading them and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
And knowing me, I love the history. I love who designed the car. I love the paint colors. I love all that stuff. So I wasn't ever able to just upload a car with like a silly little caption that was like cool car smiley
Yeah.
face. I appreciate that. A lot of people do that. And on Instagram, that's probably a better way to access engagement, because people just want that quick little like,
Definitely. Yeah.
okay, I got satisfied from the post and move on. I was never able to do that. So I've always included super long details. Now the rare cars only page stemmed from my true passion for love of cars.
Okay.
These are cars that I'm posting on there that I personally have not been able to either see in person, or I'll never be able to see because they've been destroyed or they're in some foreign country that I'll never go to. And basically, that page kind of emulates like my true love that I can kind of write about, research about, and display these cars for everybody. Um, and that's kind of literally how that page started. I always had started that page with the idea in my mind that if 0 people follow me, that's fine, because I'm actually doing this out of pure passion. I just love to research these cars. And I love to basically have a community that loves to see it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best part is when you're doing something out of pure passion, doesn't matter really about the followers. As long as even if you're just doing it for yourself, that's great. And it's always great to see like who else can catch on to it, who kind of has that same passion. And that's a good part about social media in some cases. But yeah, it's awesome. You've gotten to, I think, to see some pretty rare cars in person as well. There was one, I remember there was one Jaguar. I can't even remember the name. I don't even know what it was. Um, I don't
Well,
know.
just recently, actually, this is kind of a right away sign to tell how obsessed and crazy I am with specific cars. There's one car called the Jaguar XJR-15. It's technically called the TWR XJR-15 because Jaguar never really was involved in the project. It's
Yeah.
a subsidiary company called Jaguar Cars or Jaguar Sport. Basically, that car, I heard, um, a very rare color and a very rare example was going to be basically just outside in a parking lot for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And then once I heard that, even though I had known the car was about over an hour away from my house, and I was only going to get to see the car for about 15 to 20 minutes,
Yeah.
I still went. And stuff like that is important to me because you hear stories of these cars that go vanishing in these warehouses, or they're just gone, they vanish. And if you can say you saw that car, that's a special thing. That's cool to me, at least. And having photos, I don't think people realize that back in the day, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, taking photos of cars was actually super important, because that's all we have now, basically, to remember those cars.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing will repeat itself in the next 20, 30 years. If you've taken photos of cars now, um, they'll be special in a couple of years from now. It's going to be something cool, I think, at least.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because even some of these rare cars, like I've never seen that, like the XJR-15, never even heard of it, never seen it. I know the XJ20 or something, but this was like this is a perfect case of that. Never seen it, and this is really cool stuff to try to find and share with people because someone else is gonna be like, "Wow, that's awesome!" Like maybe they'll hop them into the Jaguar brand and they want to become more interested in that too. So it could be a whole big
Right.
awakening for that person as well. I think yeah, photos are
Exactly.
super
I
important.
always say,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, like, you could run into a Jaguar dealership and talk up to a salesman or a manager, and they might have never heard of the XJR-15.
Probably.
It's just that type of car. It's
Definitely.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. Um, so what do you think you're gonna be? Do you want to kind of continue on this same path, like finding these really cool rare cars, sharing photos of them on Instagram, on YouTube, taking videos as well? Do you want to keep going on that path, or is like there's stuff you want to change or try to kind of like work towards in the future at all?
So now what I've kind of noticed is that now that I have 2 pages, what I can do is that I can share, not hard like bad cars, but just like average cars, something that's not rare, like just like a factory Porsche 911. I could share photos, videos, and information on that on my other page, which is not focused on rare cars, which is the beautiful thing, I think, because I love all cars,
Yeah,
not just rare cars. And there's a lot of non-rare cars that I like a lot, like my car, which is not that rare. I just love the car. But basically, I now have the ability to share those on both pages. My end all be all goal. There's a lot of big time content creator, Doug DeMuro,
Yeah, of
Supercar Blondie, and
course.
these people are very successful in what they're doing. And I don't necessarily know, Shmi does a great job at covering everything.
Yeah,
So he is, like I said, covering everything. I don't really know too many people, especially on YouTube, that are literally just laser focused on rare and like traveling these like bodies of cars that are left over. Like that to me is cool stuff. I'd like to uncover these stories. I'd like to get in touch with these owners, and I'm doing very early work of that now just to craft these Instagram posts.
yeah.
But I feel like something as interesting as like finding, of like I have a friend in California who has a number of bodies from Vector. So
Oh,
Vector was a
wow.
company in the 90s, and basically these leftover bodies, they were never built. The owner of the company sadly passed away recently,
Really?
and all of these parts and items are starting to get liquidated, starting to get sold off. And he has like these bodies, like these full bodies for Vectors. That to me is interesting because now you can
Interesting.
maybe work to find the parts to build those cars. Stuff like that is super interesting to me, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the path heading down.
Yeah, speaking of, that's funny, it's just back there. I remember seeing a few months ago even, it was just like blowing back up on social media about their old car, the story. Maybe it was because, was it the founder or the owner passed away or
Yeah, it
something?
was Gerald Weigert. He founded the company. He was the brain and the vision. And I'm not sure how he passed away, but he did pass recently. And ever since then, even people that have never heard about Vector now have because of that story. So
Yeah, that's really interesting. Their cars are really quirky looking, but really unique. It'd be interesting to see if someone, if you like you said, you could get all those pieces together and try to throw another one back. That'd be really
exactly,
cool.
yeah,
Really, really cool stuff. Well, yeah, that's great to hear. I hope you have success with that project. I think that'd be a really cool addition to the YouTube and Instagram world.
yeah,
Like some people, like it's really interesting to see more of the rare car side because you have people like VinWiki, those channels talking about like current owners and current cars and
right.
cool stories about races or stuff, but not again, like you said, nothing really too about rare cars, about older cars, especially towards like this more modern base, younger base of people. If it is, it's going to be about like some old dudes talking about these old cars, and no one's really going to want to
Yeah,
watch that.
right.
But yeah, I think that'd be really great to see. Hope you can get on with that really soon. That'd be great.
I will say, I think John Tamarian from Curated,
Oh yeah,
heard of him. He has a YouTube channel. He has a dealership in Miami, and he is another one of those people that honestly just loves the rare cars, from what I can see online. And his videos are great. He always brings in these extremely rare Lamborghini examples that like you literally have never even seen before.
yeah,
And the first time anyone in the world sees them is like, oh, John has it. There it is, and it's cool. He does a great job with the rare cars too, and that's one of the only other people that I really know that like hyper focuses in on rare
mhm,
cars. So yeah,
yeah.
hopefully it can keep growing.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
great. No, it's definitely like an untapped segment. I think that could be definitely expanded on. So there's already so much stuff on everything current and future, and everyone's focused
Yeah,
on that. It's nice to take a look at the past and see what's going on there.
definitely. And I
Okay.
know you're all about the future, and
Oh yeah, well yeah. There's a lot of
so
stuff. Everyone's always excited about what's going to be coming up next and the details and everything that's being hidden. But it's nice to go back to the past sometimes. I do have some old classic cars I did a little bit of short video things on, so I'm going to try to post it up this year at some point. It's been sitting
very
in
cool.
procrastinating section of my head for a while. But yeah, we'll take it out at some point. Um, yeah, just to transition a little bit, I wanted to open up this little discussion up to what do you want to see coming out in like the current industry? Like, what's some stuff that's exciting you that's going to be coming up that maybe you wish would kind of stay or not go away? Anything really?
So I kind of had an idea just based on your interests that you were going to ask me something about what's new, what's exciting. And I actually do think I have a good answer. I think Glicknhaus or
Oh
Glicknhaus,
yeah,
however you want to, however you want to. I don't know how the correct. I've heard video. I was actually watching videos like how do they pronounce this name, and people say it differently all over the place. But them as a company, I think what they're doing specifically is special, and I don't necessarily think anyone else is doing what they're doing.
No.
And if I was in the space to purchase a hypercar, which one day I will be, right now I'm not, I would 110% be invested in that company,
Yeah.
because of their racing efforts and also their car development. I do like where Lamborghini's headed with the STO, with cars like that are coming out that are also super exciting. However, there's for every company there's pros and cons,
Hmm.
and honestly, with Glicknhaus right now, I don't necessarily see too many cons. They're racing, they're developing special cars, they have a great owner, and basically that's one of the companies I just think is really exciting. And Koenigsegg too. Koenigsegg too with the Jesco. I'm excited to see what that car is going to be able to do for sure.
Definitely. And I love Glicknhaus, or however you pronounce it, but
Yeah.
I they're like right 15 minutes away from them. It's their little shack, and they have Sleepy Hollow, and they have their new factory in Danbury, all their stuff they're doing there, and of course the whole racing headquarters over in Europe as well. And I've been trying to think about how to think of them and just like try to compare them to older companies and how their story started. And it really reminds me of like a modern day, almost like the beginnings of a new Ferrari or something like that.
I was just say, yeah.
But you look at all these smaller like supercar brands, like I don't know, I was thinking like Zenvo that just came to mind, or even going back to Lamborghini and all these other brands where they are today. They're so like big and like kind of like they have all these customers to try to fulfill and please. They have to do so many different things. Now they're all part of like a big corporation on the market, doing hybrids, all this crazy stuff. They kind of like lost touch with that pure raw essence of like driving and performance. And yeah, they have the racing teams and all whatnot, but I think this is Glicknhaus is going to be a really good addition into the entire market. I think people are really starting to catch an eye onto what they're doing just from like that boot, that crazy SUV thing they have, as well as their upcoming the three-seater manual mid-engine sports super sports car.
Yeah,
No one's doing
it's
that.
all unprecedented. It's all
It's
never been
crazy,
done before.
and I think they're going to do well. They're going to be successful at the end of the day. I think there's a strong enough interest. I can't wait to see them race in Le Mans, which is incredible.
Yeah.
They really do. He has that idea of taking those race cars, and developing a pure race car, and then working it down, just slapping some stuff on and make it a road car and make it comfortable.
Old school way.
Yeah,
Old school way.
in a real true old school way and a modern take. And I think that's a great addition into the entire industry. I can't wait to see a lot of these cars on the road more
Yeah,
often.
definitely, definitely. And even with the STO, they develop a race car for the road. This car never raced before. We don't have any proof that
That's true.
it
Yeah.
beat anyone in a race or did like it has track times, but it doesn't have a race under its belt. Now, if Glickenhaus is going to race these cars and they're going to beat Ferrari, they're going to beat whoever their competition is. That's amazing. That's like historic. So hopefully, like you said, hopefully they do succeed, and I think it'll be a great company.
Even on the lines of the STO, it's kind of just it was a road car that was turned into a race car in forms of like their Super Trofeo series,
Hmm.
and then kind of turned back into a road car again,
Yeah,
like the racing
yeah, yeah.
DNA.
It's
So
yeah,
it's a little bit of a similar formula, but kind of on the opposite end. But I'm sure it's going to be insane and super fast and crazy and great driving, whatever. But I think it's still going to lack that purity that I think these new Glickenhaus products are going to be coming out with. This is
yeah,
raw, hand built style that I think is going to resonate with a lot of people. But yeah, excited to see what's going to be coming out from them in the
definitely,
future.
definitely, yeah, definitely
Um,
excited.
I'm trying to think. I mean, all I have stuff in my head is with this crazy patents and stuff coming out of future things. And
I wanted to ask you,
yeah.
what do you think of Lamborghini's claim that they want everything to be in their lineup plug-in hybrid by was
Oh,
it 2024?
yeah. I think 2024 or 2025 at this point right now.
Okay,
Um, I'm happy about that
okay,
personally. I'd prefer that over supercharging or turbocharging. I don't think they would even be able to do
yeah,
that at this point.
no, probably not.
Even at this point, I think that's even a late stage thing. That's not going to improve. If they need to lower their fleet emissions, and
Hmm.
that's I don't think that's going to improve it. I mean, I think that one of the first ones we're going to see come out is the new Aventador successor, as well as the Urus
Right,
facelift. which is
Mm,
going to pack that crazy plug-in hybrid powertrain from Porsche. Um, which is going to be like over 700 horsepower. You know, whoever wants that, it's going to be heavy. Hop into it and have fun with it. But in terms of their like pure sports cars and everything, I think it's going to be good that they're throwing these hybrid batteries in. And I've seen people say, is it going to be batteries? Is it going to be like a electric supercharger or electric turbocharger? They're kind of the same thing. And no, it's going to be what we've been seeing mostly from like Ferrari or the NSX. It's going to be those batteries with electric motors sandwiched somewhere in between the gearbox or something, maybe
gotcha.
slap some motors up front. Um, and you know, there's going to be the question of weight. That's going to be a problem.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think what they're going to try to focus on is now try to reduce weight everywhere else. Maybe the
Mm,
body will be more integrated with carbon fiber, or there's going to be less weight in the chassis and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what they're going to try to do with this. Um, it's from what I'm looking at in recent news, it seems like everyone wants to pour money into them somehow. They want to see them succeed.
yeah, it's the offers they just
Crazy.
increased. It was like 9 billion. Now it's like almost 12 billion.
Yeah.
And this one company, Quantum, I think it's called, is like super trying to acquire Lamborghini for some reason out of
Very
nowhere.
strange stuff with that. I think that maybe I don't know what their end goal of this is trying to be. Maybe they don't want to see the Volkswagen Group ruin the brand, but
I don't.
I'm not really sure. I mean, they did announce that they are planning and developing their first full EV for 2024, 2025. Um, People are angry about that, but I kind of have faith in them because I think they're able to really keep the Lamborghini DNA in a lot of their products. Um, and like I was reading into it, they're going to try to use like a blend of like all the EV platforms that the VW group has right now, like the Porsche platform, Audi. So I don't think it's going to be a bad thing at all. I'm sure it'll be wild, crazy looking.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll figure out a way to make it sound cool somehow,
yeah,
even on the outside. But I wouldn't be worried about it. At the end of the day, I think it'll be helping to keep the gas engine cars that they have still alive.
gotcha.
I think if they stay in the VW group and Porsche develops that synthetic fuel, maybe we'll see their gas engine cars live even longer. So,
Yeah, that'd be great. Hopefully, we do alternate fuel rather than everything electric. Because
oh
my
yeah,
only my only thing is like this. So, all these new supercars and hypercars even are kind of similar in the sense that you jump into a McLaren of a specific model and you jump into a Lamborghini of a specific model, and the driving experience overall, because of the technology, how updated it is, and because of how well put together these cars are now, back in the 80s, the switch between the Countach transitioning into the
yeah,
Diablo was drastic. You drove one of these cars and then you drove another one and you were like, wow, everything's new, everything's
mhm,
different, everything's changed. Now it's kind of like every car is the same with a different style of body, which is cool. But now even with electric cars, we're not even making noise anymore. So
mhm.
how are my question, I guess, is how are these companies going to convince clients and customers that X car is any greater than another car driving wise? Because the only difference I think is going to be is the difference in speed, which you can only get so fast. And like
Yeah,
Elon Musk just recently announced, like the Roadster is planned to do 0 to 60 miles an hour in like under 2 seconds,
yeah. I think
which is, you know,
I think that that's a huge issue with these EV cars specifically is the whole speed thing because everyone knows an electric car can go fast in a straight line. I
yeah,
drove the Mach-E yesterday. Absolutely love it personally, and it's fast in a straight line, but it also handles really well. Actually, I was quite surprised by that. Um, and in that sense, I think Lotus is going to succeed in this one. Is the creating a personality for these electric cars? Because if you look at we have like the Pininfarina Batista that's coming out, and the
right,
Rimac Concept 2. They're the identically same car with a different skin around it.
yeah,
And you know they're huge on speed, but I don't really know how Remac's gonna do so much in the handling and characteristic part. I know they have some crazy technology and stuff where they can like distribute power to each individual wheel and can control it on the screen and
right,
stuff. So we'll see how that plays out. But um, I think I was looking at a lot of the stuff with their Lotus, that new hypercar, Avaya,
yeah,
and they're really focused on trying to create this identity and personality with the car. And it also I heard it sounds crazy. It sounds like a fighter jet on the outside, which is cool. and it's like a really raw carbon tub style experience. But it's going to take a lot of like trial and error, I think, from these manufacturers to kind of find like a nice formula that works for them in terms, at least in terms of like a pure EV setting. But I don't think that's going to be the only power source that's going to be staying.
Yeah, I think electric is actually, I think it's going to be temporary. I don't know if companies can sustain building electric cars with the impact that it has on the environment
Yeah.
forever. So
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't think like, I think from looking at it where we are right now, I don't think it's fully sustainable in the future. But I think what's going to be coming out in the next few years will definitely change that a little bit. In terms of, I mean, we're like, I always say this whenever I talk to someone about EVs. It's like we are in like the early dawn of this technology. Like we're back
Yeah,
in, I feel like we're at right now. We're in like the 1920s right now in terms of EV technology. If you want to compare it to like gas stuff, so like there's a lot to still go. Battery technology, cell chemistry. There's the solid state
It's
battery.
like the Ford Model T just came out all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah. We're like really early on in this stuff, and just even looking at the advancements, I know this Tesla, unfortunately, always comes into this because they're kind of on the forefront of everything. But their battery cells are about to announce we're looking at 500-600 miles of range. That's gonna calm people's minds on that, and now they can focus more on like, oh well, this can do so much other really cool stuff. Um, and I can see within like 4 or 5 years, charging is gonna go down to like we're gonna be close to matching gas cars in speed. So
That'd be
that a lot of that worry, I think, with people trying to enter this market is going to go down. The infrastructure is going to build up. Battery technology will be better, safer, whatever, not whatnot. And then I think that's when manufacturers are going to start turning the dial. We're going to start seeing that shift over towards now. How can we create these cars to match what we want, like have like a unique identity, that personality? How can they handle better? Maybe we'll try to focus on reducing the heavy, crazy weight that these EVs have somehow. But there's also the hydrogen fuels that we have. There's synthetic fuels that are being worked on. There's God knows what else someone's going to try to come up with at some point. But yeah, I don't. I feel like I think what's going to happen is like these crazy deadlines. There's like 2030, we're ending sales of gas cars. 2035. I think there's going to be a change in that. I think that's going to change.
I think so too. I don't that I think the main issue that, and not to get political, but
Yeah,
politics, they think that basically all the gasoline cars on the road are just going to go poof, gone.
that's not going to happen. No.
The main problem is not building electric cars and selling them. The main problem is getting people to, or actually just getting rid of the gasoline cars. Like where are
Yeah,
we going to put these? Like if you've driven to Manhattan once, you know how many cars exist. Like
yeah,
they're everywhere. So I don't know. I don't know what their plan is for.
yeah. These like deadlines and goals are completely unrealistic, completely and totally unrealistic. I mean, we're just these are goals in like these developed countries. You're not, no one's thinking about like everywhere else in the world that maybe not be able to afford an EV or doesn't even have bare infrastructure of like decent electricity to even support any of this stuff. So we're looking at decades and decades and decades away from anywhere becoming towards like this fully sustainable type of transportation. But I think a good places to start is like big commercial vehicles, like trucks and garbage trucks and all that, school buses, all that stuff. So I think it's a really good way to start, how to get people more used to it, the idea and ingrained in people's head. It's, but yeah, I think there's right now there's like such a rush to catch up to Tesla or something, to catch up to make an EV, that I think people are starting to get blindsided about focusing on like a lower end market. Um, and getting more people access into these products and everything. Because was it they said VW ID3? We don't have it here in the States, but it's not the best thing I've heard from some people I know in Europe. It's kind of on the
Yeah.
lower end of quality and everything and range, but
I think Tesla, I think it's going to be somewhat like a Bitcoin effect. So, Bitcoin, out of all of the cryptocurrency hype, is,
yeah,
I guess, the central coin. It's like, all right, Bitcoin's the best one or whatever. I'm not really too into crypto. I'm just using it as an analogy.
yeah,
And Tesla right now is kind of the peak of the EV industry. Had this great success and all of these different accolades that they've achieved now. But I do think that when that happens, I think that inevitably another company has to come in and contest them. And I don't think that Tesla is going to end up being the end all be all of electric
No,
vehicle.
no.
So I think what I'm excited to see is who comes and dethrones Tesla and then becomes the new cool EV company. Because, it's also like Apple too.
Yeah,
It has yet to happen. No one's going to really contest Apple at the point that they're at, I don't think, at least. But
I
it's
know.
the same effect. Everybody kind of runs one industry, and it's kind of annoying because I like to see new products, new things
Yeah.
going on. So
I mean, I think the thing with Elon's end goal, I always like watch back on his press events and everything. Like, his whole goal was to accelerate EV industry in general. But I think where they're at now, I guess people see it. It's more of their fans, I think, that create this aura of superiority or whatever. And yeah, there is a sense of that with their charging network and whatnot. But they're in a lucky position where they've started this stuff so early and have such an advantage on like building up on these technologies that they're always going to be ahead a little bit. Um, and they are like the stuff they're coming out with this year, next year is already going to be ahead of everything that's out. Which is it's just going to be how it is. But I think out of all of these companies, Ford has a huge advantage. And
yeah.
every time I say that, everyone's like, "What are you talking about? How does Ford have an advantage?" Well, it's like they already have the Mach-E out. The Mach-E is definitely, in my opinion, a better car than the Volkswagen product. And if Ford's able to do this as a one company compared to the Volkswagen Group, who's gigantic,
Mhm.
that's saying a lot of stuff. And they have a huge amount of stuff coming out that we don't even know about, that no one's really talking about. So I think Ford's, at least in the United States, is
BMW had their opportunity
they had a
to,
huge opportunity to.
but they failed. I mean, I
Yeah.
hate the i8. I'm not a huge fan of the i8 at all. I've driven multiple of them
Silly.
now, and
It's a silly car.
it's not fun. It's
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 so
just not.
beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, BMW had a huge opportunity early on. And they're a little bit ahead, I think, than Mercedes in some aspects. But I don't know. It's really going to be interesting to see like where these established manufacturers try to take an approach on it. Because I don't really like how they're doing it personally right now. They're just like shoving batteries into like a gas car, and it's not
Yeah.
working out for them.
Well, what do you think about the Sion? I mean, for example, this
Oh,
Lamborghini
it's stupid.
Sion.
It's ridiculous.
It's considered a plug-in or an EV of some sort, but it's got 30 horsepower of electric power.
It doesn't
Like that.
even it doesn't even have a battery.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
don't know what the I
capacitor.
don't know what the additional power is coming. Oh, the super capacitor,
Yeah.
right?
Well, their whole thing with this is they try to create another car off the platform to try to like, keep it going a little bit more. It looks crazy and cool and whatnot, but I think that what they're experimenting with was how to like implement these technologies in a way. And they had that weird partnership with MIT. So I think that's where this came out of, the supercapacitor technology.
Yeah,
And all it's doing is providing that little boost of power,
it's
but
ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. But it also um I think it's sandwiched, the motor is at least sandwiched between the gearbox and the engine. So it's trying to like reduce those crazy hard shifts that the single clutch gearbox has. Um, which I think it did a little bit, not too much. The only cool aspect I think of it is that it can charge itself up in like one braking session, which is crazy, and then
Yeah.
release all that power instantly, which is cool. But that minimal aspect of it is kind of unnecessary.
Hmm.
Um,
It almost looks like as if Lamborghini was going to make a concept and like then make a car later on. But the Sion actually looks like the concept that they would have like displayed at an auto show.
well,
Like it's just
you know what the Sion is? It is the Reventon of
yeah,
today.
transitional car.
Yeah, the Reventon came out with that crazy dashboard, with, like, digital dash, this crazy styling.
I love that car, by the
Yeah,
way.
amazing.
I
We're,
love that thing.
we're like transitioned from the Murcielago over to that, and this is, I think, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to get us used to their new direction for the next generation of Aventador, see where it's going to come out, and they're just giving you a taste of what they're going to be doing in terms of like that hybridization. I think I said that right.
That's a word.
It is a word, but yeah, I'm really interested to see how they approach this with the hybrid stuff because I hopefully it succeeds for
Yeah,
them.
for sure, for
Or
sure.
it will, but we'll see.
Well,
Definitely.
we will definitely have to find out for ourselves. 'Cause I
Yes,
don't
definitely.
know. I like I'm looking for a new car. I'm always looking for new cars, even when
Yeah.
I don't need a new car. But you know, I don't know if I'd ever drive a hybrid. It's just like I can't get down with the lack of power, like the lack of, well, power is not a lack because they're all faster than the cars I can get. But just a lack of sound. It's the driving experience, and I'm sure this is the way the world is heading.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
my issue is too, I have older parents, and to put them behind the wheel of a Tesla right
Oh
now
yeah.
would take, I think, like weeks to a month of like training. Like this is how you put the car in drive. Because people from that generation get in and they're like, all right, where's the where is everything? And all you have is a screen.
Yeah,
So it's just a learning curve. I think that's one of their flaws, where like their market appeals to us, where we can quickly figure out technology and quickly get
definitely.
down to the basis of what's going on. But for the older generation, it's kind of like a slow, like, what is this thing kind of
Yeah.
feeling. I think so.
Yeah. And I think that's where like the legacy automakers are trying to create these EVs where it's like you're basically hopping into a gas car from in terms
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
user standpoint and everything. But the massive and absolutely massive downside to that is the charging infrastructure and figuring that part out.
Mhm.
That's where Tesla has no competition on.
Oh yeah.
But that's a huge downside. So you have that one aspect of like ease of usability for these like more traditional looking cars. But then you kind of completely shoot that whole thing out with the charging infrastructure because it's awful,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely awful. Even as much as established as it is, it's still terrible, and that's what they're gonna have to like focus on. I think most in the future, and we'll see how that works out. But I think in this next upcoming decade, we're gonna see hybridization of everything,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
some way or form, and the EVs. Because
Mhm.
there's still some brands that are sticking. I like that's why I'm looking at Mazda. I love Mazda, under design standpoint. They're going, I think, in great directions, and they're going to be unveiling an all new gas based rear wheel drive architecture with a straight six, and yeah, it's going to have a 48-volt mild hybrid system on it. But like, no one else is going to be coming out with a brand new. Even Honda said they're going to be killing their gas engine development soon.
I think it was Ferrari actually that said recently that they're, or maybe it could have been Ferrari, or it could have also been GMA. Uh,
Okay, yeah,
Great. And I'm not sure who said it, but one of them, I think it was one of these two companies. One of them said, "We're going to keep producing naturally aspirated engines until we're literally not allowed to." And
yeah,
I think it was had to have been one of those two companies. I just don't exactly remember. And maybe it was Gordon Murray because that's
yeah.
technically what he's doing. But I think to Ferrari, I don't think Ferrari has any EV hybrid thing lined up anytime soon. I mean, they have the SUV. Well, they are testing like V6 platforms that might offer something, but
Yeah. Well,
I don't
they
know.
I don't know what Ferrari's doing right now because I haven't really been able to get into them myself, but from what I've seen, like people are saying they're just kind of like flatlining a little bit in terms of what they're doing. They're kind of focusing so much on technology and everything,
It's
and they're
the
kind of
engine. From what I've been told by owners, it's the engine issue. I mean, the
yeah,
turbocharging is not working.
it's not
And
working out for them. But they're sticking with the V12 as long as they can. They're coming out with a more higher powered one for their LaFerrari successor, which is cool, or whatever. If it's going to be a track only car, I'm not sure, but they have that one saving grace, I think, for them. But their twin turbo V8s, great power, great performance, just sound is
yeah.
lacking a little bit of like the enjoyment factor I think people want, they expect out of a Ferrari. They don't really want just like a straight line or super fast track speed. They want like that pure raw engagement. I think they're kind of dying a little bit away from that a little bit, or someone that could like Glicknhaus could hop in right there
Yeah, right.
and capture that
Exactly.
market. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. It definitely will be interesting to see where they're going. But yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, I mean, even so, like, what do you think of like old cars too? Because I know you're all about the new cars. Is
Yeah,
there is there a particular old car that just like really kind of excites you, like something that you can?
there is actually. I've had
Okay.
an unusual obsession for, I don't know if you know this one, the Studebaker Avanti.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
I have
Yeah,
a
of
weird
course.
obsession for that car. I just love the design of it. And
Okay, that's a super intriguing
yeah,
car. Like
there's
interesting
a
car.
crazy story about that too, because it was towards the end of their kind of like the whole existence of the brand, they're kind of struggling to produce them. So and they didn't make too many of them. But I know the designer was a French designer who really had this amazing background of where he came from, and he kind of put all of this work into this car, and it looks incredible. There's a lot of lines that remind me of another really old car I love is the Volvo. Is it the P1800? I think that's what it
Oh yeah, I think it's the P. I think you're right. I think it's the P
might be
1800.
that. I just love the design of these things. I have some cool photos of them. Of like these really cool like body lines on the side, and that just captured my attention of all of them. And there's some I like weird, quirky old cars. I don't like the lizard
Yeah,
nests. Like, oh, old Lamborghinis, old Ferraris, whatever. Yeah, those are cool. But I like the quirky old cars, definitely.
yeah, yeah. I love like all the cars that basically don't make sense.
Yeah,
Like so like
exactly.
you look at it and like this would never work nowadays. Those are my favorite because
Yeah,
it's a one-time thing. It's special. It's cool.
yeah. I remember I saw this. God, I'm never gonna remember the name of it. It was a Citroen. It was imported, I think, actually from Spain. I did a just walk around video. I saw it in like a parking lot somewhere, and it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was like this weird hatchback. It was all red. Um, yeah, tiny engine. I don't care about that, but it was a manual. It's really cool interior. Like these holes in the seats. The steering wheel was like this one stick coming out of it. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the quirky old cool cars. Yeah, you see your Corvettes and the old Mustangs and muscle cars and whatnot, but cool stuff. But I like to see the unique things and where you can pick out the cool designs and kind of like weird quirks of like that decade or era that the manufacturers have to work with and stuff. I love that stuff.
Very, very cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the old cars. I mean, like you just said, the Corvettes and the Camaros. I mean, you can find those. I mean, you could literally, if you just go to any Cars and Coffee,
Yeah,
they're
always.
everywhere. So that's the good thing about those cars, at least.
Definitely. Yeah, and people love those cars that swap them, rebuild them, and there's parts available for them because there's so many of them. They're so widely available, which is great. But it's down to everyone's taste, what they like, what they want to enjoy. Like
Exactly.
I'm looking at Saabs right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have a weird new obsession with Saabs. I kind of want to get one. Maybe we'll start like a little project car or something in maybe a year or two. I don't know why they're just weird, quirky cars.
Mhm.
Um, I'm really interested in those. See what I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, I mean,
one
everybody's got their
example of that.
everyone's got their niche. I want a Jaguar XJR-15. Everybody tells me how horrible of a car that is, and guess what? I'm gonna try to get one.
Yeah,
Like, and
they're
even though it's
really
horrible,
they're really ahead of their time on that twin turbo V6 back in
yeah, oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it was a disappointment for the people that
What was it
wanted it,
supposed to be?
but it's still cool, and I
Yeah,
still love it. So,
I think it looks insane. It's super aerodynamic, sleek,
mhm.
awesome design. Yeah, I'm sure if you drove that around anywhere, everyone would be like
Yeah, exactly.
breaking their necks to try to see that. Now I do that for every time I see a new Genesis, but that's
That's awesome.
but yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this around here.
Cool, cool.
Zoom might cut itself out anyway soon, but thank you for coming on for the podcast. The second round of podcast episodes we're doing. Really great conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
likewise. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me speak to your
of course.
followers and your following. And I wish you nothing but, the best success in the future with what you're doing. And I, again, from the bottom of my heart, actually think you do really create the best updated news, automotive news content out there. And just, keep going after it and keep doing what you're doing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Have a great rest of your it's a rainy day over here, but and hope you have some great success with the new goals and stuff you're working on towards your pages and everything. And again, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. See ya.